Hello everybody, welcome to episode 25 of the Joel Homie Show series, Sketcheleshious Monday. Hey, you there! I want to remind everybody that if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. And right now, YouTube says that over 90% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so it would really help, and with that... Hello everybody, I'm Joel Homie, your guys' host for episode 25 of the Joel Homie Show series, Sketcheleshious Monday. Now, considering that things are quite hard for me right now in real life due to schooling and stuff like that, I thought I'd give myself a bit of an easy time with today's episode so that I could actually reflect on some of the things that I've done in this series, and Autistic Tuesday, which is the older version of this series, but it was actually posted on Tuesday instead of Monday. So as you can see here with the new logo, obviously things have gone a little bit different than when this was called Autistic Tuesday. So I'm going to go ahead and actually go through a couple of the older drawings in this sketchbook, and then we'll move to my current sketchbook, which is basically the sketchbook for this series specifically. So let's go ahead and start by actually taking a look at some older sketches in this sketchbook. So here's actually one of the first ones. This is when I drew Alistair from Hazbin Hotel. Now this was quite a while ago, before Autistic Tuesday actually even existed. This was when I was just occasionally doing drawing videos, because at the time I had been really into Hazbin Hotel, even while I didn't know much about it compared to now, where I know a lot more about Hazbin Hotel than I did when I actually drew this. So as you can see, the proportions are a little bit off because his legs are way too short, his body and his head are, well, quite off when it comes to proportions as well. And as you can see, well, I was not good at drawing hands because his hand is, well, kind of big. I don't know if that's just the way that I'm looking at it, because his hands to me look all kinds of messed up in his drawing. There's a lot of rough points undoubtedly, but it was definitely a start that would lead to a lot of what I would argue what was better drawings. And then the next one here, I'm going to go ahead and actually flip to the next one that I did right after I drew Alistair. This was Moxie from Hell of a Boss. Now this is another series by Vivzy Pop, which is the creator of Hazbin Hotel. As you can see here, this is before I actually took multiple reference photos and drew things out, because back when I drew Alistair and this one as well, I didn't really mix reference photos to try to advance my skills as an artist. I actually drew this, I believe, when I was actually still in an art class. So yeah, that is definitely another one that could have quite a bit of improvement, even while it is better than the other one. Like his hand, it looks kind of weird because it's not really even a hand. It looks more like just a couple of fingers sticking out of a sleeve. But the next one here, well, this is a bit of an interesting one. Here you've actually got a bit of character design that I did quite a while back when I was looking into storytime animation, which is something that I got caught up in really fast and went like full steam ahead on getting a digital art tablet and all kinds of stuff like that, which I really do regret, because due to how much time schooling is taking up now, I feel very regretful of doing that, because now I have this expensive art tablet and I put all this effort into doing this, yet I can't really even use much of it. Although I have definitely taken from this art style, sort of like this character design, quite a little bit, as my character still resembles this little guy here quite a bit, even well, I actually decided to stick with the style that resembles the Odd Ones Out, because I like his art style. It's a lot more simplistic and sort of joyful and enjoyable to look at, rather than this, which to me just kind of looks a little bit bland and unoriginal. Even well, talking about originality, I'm literally copying off of the style of another YouTuber, so what do I know? But anyway, flipping to this next page, this is actually one of the ones, I believe this was actually considered the first episode, or maybe the second episode, I'm not even sure, of Autistic Tuesday, where I drew a bunch of different old logos for different toys. So here you've actually got Nerf, which is like, I believe this is one of the very first logos. You've got Vans, Lionel, which makes model trains, and then here you've got Lego, which this is like one of the very old Lego logos that isn't even used remotely anymore. And then here you've got an older Hot Wheels logo, Apple, which doesn't really make toys, but well, whatever. You've got the older Rainbow logo, logo here, which even while it isn't a rainbow here, this is resembling the rainbow version with the lines going through it. And then you got Tomy, which made toy trains. So flipping to the next page here, this is some really uninteresting stuff here. You've got some different things that I drew back when I was in my art class. Here I actually was told to draw 5 different things around my house, and my favorite color was red at the time, so I picked a bunch of different stuff that was red. Originally I had more items than I actually drew out, but here we've got my iPhone 11, which is actually what I'm recording with right now, even while it looks absolutely horrible. We've got my beats, which have much of the same story, and then here on the next page you've got 2 more horrible looking things. Like here you've got my attempt at drawing fine detail on a doorknob and the inner workings. Here we've actually got my Sony NEX F3, I believe that's what it's called. I really just said that out of the memory, and I believe I actually just said that all kinds of wrong. And then here, this isn't even remotely worth looking at, but it's a horrible attempt at drawing a Apple Watch when it was actually sort of angled. And then here we've actually got one of my favorites, because it was one of the ones that I really had to push myself to keep on going through this without giving up. But here is when I attempted to draw my beloved cat Meg in the most detail as I possibly could, considering my skill set at the time. But as you can see here, I really tried my best to use shading to my advantage here, considering what I know about shading and what I was actually taught at school, and well, just what I knew how to do at the time. And I really had to use that to sort of separate her jawline from the rest of her neck, because when I actually drew this, if you actually go back and watch this video and you view the time lapse of when I was drawing this, when I actually draw her jawline at first, it looks like I'm just pasting a ginormous smile onto her, which kind of looks weird and creepy and cringy in a way, I guess. But anyway, as you can see, in the end, I did try to add a little bit of color on top of literally what I just used a pencil to draw, which was all of this besides the color. So I added a little bit of color to her ears, eyes, and collar. But anyway, flipping to the next page here, I think I gotta make sure I'm actually flipping the right way. Here we've actually got this. I don't exactly know what this is. This says sub 2. I don't know what this says. Oh, so we've got a 200 there, 2 S's for some reason, and it says subs. I'm really confused as to what I was doing here, because it says sub, so it's like the S teleported over there instead of being over here. I guess I ran out of space or something. But there's that, a thing that was probably just a filler episode because I didn't know what else to do. Here we've actually got one of the very first times I actually drew my character. I think this actually might be the very first time I ever drew my character. So this is before I took any reference from anything. This was literally just what I had in my memory at the time, and here we've got my little character from the very first time I drew him. So as you can see, things like the mouth aren't even sort of lined or with a black pencil. They're still just a sketch with a pencil. And then the tongue was done in red. My eyes were done in sort of like little ovals, because I always liked that sort of style. It sort of looked cute and sort of appealing to me. And then up there you've, well, got the same sort of weird, wacky, cringy hairstyle that I still use on my profile picture for this channel at this time. And then flipping to the next page, I believe I actually stuck with drawing this guy for a little bit. So this was actually an episode in and of itself, unlike the last one that I just showed, which was just the head of my character, which I did on my own time. But this is actually the very thing that is actually the profile picture of this channel right now, and also the profile picture for my Instagram and my Patreon, and even for those of you that have been around for a while, things like my Twitter and Facebook. This held a really special place in my heart for quite a while, and it still does. But when I drew this, I was really happy with this, because even though this is really just ripped from The Odd Ones Out and I can't take any credit for the design, I really do like how it's turned out. It's really simplistic and cute looking, and sort of like the chubby-ish look, not being so skinny like my own sort of style that I tried to make up, is just something that I really like a lot. And then as you can see, same hair style as when I first drew the head, which is on the page right behind this. And then moving to the next page, actually they're flipping the wrong way again. Here is an interesting one. This is the virus. Not exactly sure why I called it that. But anyway, this is something that I tried to do with like showing detailing and just trying to do something that I hadn't done before. So here we've got a little steam engine that has sort of like a light shining out, which once again I tried to use shading to my advantage, showing that it's sort of slowly fading out. And then the idea was here that the train sort of transitioned from being normal to very monster-ish like, and being much more of a destroyed sort of demon-like monster thing. I don't exactly know what I was going for, but you can see here that the tender to the locomotive begins with sort of like a normal-ish shape and then transforms into like tentacles and spikes and things that look like they're rushing up, and like this thing is shredding up the floor into red rocks and sort of decaying them as it goes along. And then you got a massive sort of smile though. And then also I just noticed this is a reference to Thomas, the tank engine that is with the E2. That is actually the class name of the original steam locomotive that Thomas, the tank engine, is actually based off of. And then flipping to the next page, if I actually flip through the pages the right way, here we've got another one of my character. Now this one, there's nothing wrong with this. This character is completely fine, but when I was drawing this, I was very miserable and kind of hating myself because I had felt like I literally just copied the other ones out and done nothing in return to sort of give credit. But I'd felt like that I had stolen it, and since I was using it for my profile picture, I needed to remake it and change it. And I believe as of the current time, if you actually go to my Joel Homie Clips channel, as of the current moment, the actual background for that channel was a modified version of my background for this channel that actually has this little guy instead of the other one in the Odd Ones Out style. The last thing that I'll mention here is when I drew a weird little logo for a Train Mania series that I had. It's still one that I do plan on doing future episodes, but it's something that I do very rarely because it requires a lot of effort to set up, because what Train Mania is I take out my entire train collection, going all the way from model trains, toy trains, Lego trains, Legos in general, all kinds of stuff, and show off my collection in all its glory. And the reason I really don't like doing this anymore is because I have a massive collection of stuff, more than I really need, and since that is a sort of like a reoccurring problem now, I couldn't set it up in my room, so I set it up outside last time that I did an episode of the series, and that is the reason that I drew this little logo with all this sort of motion blur stuff going on with the steam engine and the diesel and stuff like that. And the reason I stopped doing it is because when I filmed it outside with the Lego trains, is with all of them running, it scratched them up and really lowered the condition of them due to a lot of dirt in my yard, and it had gotten into the trains and ruined a lot of them and damaged a lot of them, which is why I won't be doing this again until I have a better place to do it. But anyway, getting that sketchbook out of the way, so here's the first thing that I actually drew in this sketchbook. This is when I had drawn some of my favorite YouTube animators to show appreciation. So here we've got Chip Flake, Jade Animations, here we've got Young Tales, Illymation or Illymation, and then the Odd Ones Out, which is one that I had included for the pure purpose of what I just talked about earlier with the little character, and I felt like I had not given enough credit. And then moving to the next page, here we've got, well, yeah, just characters that I had wanted to use eventually. So these are just simple designs that I wanted to get down so that I didn't have to make something up when I was actually wanting to make animations with them, even while I have never made animations with any of these characters yet. And then here we've got another one that is oddly enough drawn on the wrong page on the other side, but here we've got a logo for Joel Homie Art and Animation, which is a dead channel that I wanted to start up for storytime animation and just art in general, but due to me getting into school, I really don't have time to do that, and I barely have time to do anything for this channel. So, well, that was not really much of a success at all. And then here we got some more characters. This is when I redrew my cat Meg in a simplistic style rather than the complex style with all the detail that I'd shown earlier in the other sketchbook. And then here we've actually got actually three more characters. Here we've got my dad, and then my two siblings, or rather my two sisters, Zoe and Joy. And then moving along from that, so here we get into when I was drawing Hazbin Hotel characters. Here we've got Nifty. Oddly enough, I put the date here. This was 7/28/20, which wasn't too long ago, a couple months ago. And that was actually an episode of Autistic Tuesday. And then flipping it over, here we've got another character. This is none other than Angel, as you can see right there in all of his glory, with his nice little sort of submachine gun, his nice little hat that I put on him, and the sort of changed expression that I believe I actually put on him for this one. Now, this is when I started thinking that I was copying art styles and art things too much, so I actually started, instead of only choosing one reference photo to take from, I actually chose many different art styles, and then purposely left things blank for what I wanted to do without reference pictures, so that I could actually draw things myself without taking from other people. So here we've got Vox. This is the TV Demon. He is another character from Hazbin Hotel, and as you can see, he's called the TV Demon because, well, his his head is a television. And then this is another one where I tried using different reference photos, so I got his expression from a different reference picture than I actually got for the torso. And then different things like that also happened with the arms, like I believe one of these two arms was actually taken from a different reference picture than the torso. And then once again here you can actually see some proportion issues, like his legs are a little bit short in my opinion due to how long and how big his torso is. But either way, I really like Vox. He's one of my most favorite characters because I've always been interested in tech and the history of tech. Like, I have an old LightTube TV chilling in my room just due to that fact. So this, even while it's not nearly the best drawing I've ever done, I still do quite like it because, well, it's Vox. And then on the other page, this is actually one of my favorite characters as well, just due to the time period that he comes out of. This is Husker, one of the other characters from Hazbin Hotel. And as you can see, this one actually doesn't have many massive issues in my opinion, other than his face being a little bit small for his head, because his head is quite large and his actual face, like his eyes and his mouth, are actually quite small. Now, that is actually due to me not wanting to mess anything up when I actually drew this, so I played it safe and drew his face small so that I wouldn't go over any of these lines and have to redraw them, even while I did have to redraw them quite a couple times. And then you've got his wings and stuff like that, and his tail feathers coming out from the back. Here we've just got Charlie, which is the Princess of Hell, and then here we've actually got her father. This is Lucifer, the King of Hell, or sort of like the Overlord, or whatever you want to call him. This is one that I'm actually very proud of because I actually didn't have any mistakes with this one while I was drawing it. Like with many of my other Hazbin Hotel characters, if you paid close attention, you can see that I blew through the page a lot because I just hated how I drew things all the time and I redo them over and over again. Whereas this one, I wasn't terribly disappointed with anything along the way. So you can see here there aren't many very noticeable erase marks, if any. I can't actually find many. And then here on the other side, as I said, is Charlie. And then trying to put that piece of paper back in between. As I said, those are the last two Hazbin Hotel characters that I currently have drawn out. So here is the next thing that I'll just quickly go over. This is actually one thing that I was trying to do because I felt that I was getting bad at showing small details. So I had drawn this. This is a GP30 class, a diesel train locomotive. So as you can see here, this was drawn for the pure purpose of showing small detail, with all of the small little details shown in, like vents, latches, all kinds of small things like guard railing and vents. Here you've got some more sort of overhead vents on the roof, antennas, horns, windows. You've got the marker lights and marker boards, all kinds of stuff in here. And then this is actually one that actually took me way longer than I expected. This actually took me probably closer to 3 to 5 hours. I'm not exactly sure how long it actually took me to draw this, but this took me quite a while due to just how much detail I put into this. And, well, oddly enough, it actually turned out quite well in my opinion. And then flipping through this, here we've actually just got some things that don't need much discussion. Here are my little 4-box comics that I've drawn out so far. So here we got 1, which is the Joker Sidekick. Here we've got 2, which is the 911 thing, which is sort of controversial because it just sort of seems like I'm making fun of 9/11. And then here we've got the third and last sort of 4-box comics that I currently have drawn out. This is sort of making fun of 2020 and the Golden Pickaxe in Minecraft as well, due to sort of how short both of their lifespans seem. And, well, the Golden Pickaxe in Minecraft just sort of sucks due to how long it lasts. Like, you can only use it, like, a couple times before it breaks, and 2020 is much the same way. It's just flown by for me, and it hasn't presented me with anything amazing other than things that I've done by myself, which is, like, my YouTube channel and stuff like that. And with that, that is currently everything that I have drawn out in the sketchbook. So, I do apologize for this long episode and all of this rambling of me just talking about dumb drawings that don't really matter. But anyway, with all that being said, if you guys enjoyed today's video,